Okay. Hello, welcome to Graphics, Gears, and Wires. This is Henry, and today I am working in Adobe After Effects to prepare a short animation for an intro for a video I'm doing for a client. This is for a charity working on a virtual benefit. So they've sent me this composition that you see on screen. They put it together in some program, I'm not sure, but it basically consists of 3 elements. Which is great because they sent it to me in a PDF and I was able to import it into Corel. You could do this in Illustrator, and I was able to isolate each individual piece of the design. As you can see, I can move this Statue of Liberty around. I can select the text individually, and I can select the background. So what that means is, because they sent this to me in pieces, I'm able to export each one of these pieces separately as its own image with some transparency, and then I can overlay them on top of each other in After Effects, and then use little techniques to move and pan them slightly so that the intro to the video, rather than just showing this static image that they sent me, can have just a little bit of life to it. So I'm going to show you what that looks like here. Here in the first thing that we have to do is separate this into its components. So here's our background. Here's our Statue of Liberty, which I'm showing here on a blue background, but the blue background is just for looks because it's transparent. I'm actually going to export just the transparent portion with the Statue of Liberty, not the blue background. And then here we have the text. So three single images. I'm just going to export them all at the same size to make them easy to work with in After Effects, and I'm going to export them all the same size as the actual video I'm going to output. File Explorer, so we'll just open up After Effects, and what I need to do is grab these files and drag them into this pane. That's going to import these clips so that I can start working with them. And all 3 clips are going to be part of the same composition. So I'm going to grab this background and just drag this down. And notice here I was on render because I've been using this to render. But here I just want to be on this side of it. And I'm just going to, you could click New Composition. But if you drag into this empty space, it'll create a new composition for you based on what you just put in there. So we have our title background. And then I'm going to add the next layer, which is the Statue of Liberty, and then the text. And we still only see the background because of the order they're in. If you drag things around in here, you can reorder them. So you can see now Liberty's in front, and now we can see our text. And we definitely want, I think, Liberty on top of the text. Yes. Liberty goes on top of the text. And what I'm thinking about is I'll have this background. Oops. I'll have this background kind of slowly zooming just a little bit like this. And then I'm going to have the text and the Statue of Liberty probably at the same time, because I want that to always be along this edge. I'm going to have that scale in the other direction, just kind of very subtly over a period of maybe 2 seconds, because that's about all we're going to see this. Actually, we'll make this a 3-second animation. But over that period of 3 seconds, it's just going to have a slight little bit of movement. And sometimes that's all you need in a piece like this. It's going to be part of a larger video. The audio I'm not going to mess with here, but the audio for this piece is very slow. And there's a logo shown right before this and then a transition. So kind of when you're building a video, a lot of times you'll build a piece at a time like this in After Effects, and then create a composition for each piece. So you have a composition for just this intro, a composition for just the logo portion before it, and then a composition for your actual action, so you can manage them all in the same project really easily. So let's get into animation. The first thing is I'm going to grab this background and click this little arrow here, and then click this arrow again next to transform, and that opens up all the properties that we have that we can set as like variables as we are doing our animation. So I'm going to slide this down so we have a little more room to work and can see a bigger image of our video. And let's see what we can do here. The first thing I want to do, because I'm going to be scaling it, is I want to hit this clock, and that says I'm going to be adjusting this scale. And it sets a marker right here in this timeline that is going to say at this point in time, this is the size that I am. So whatever size we set here is what it's going to be until we set another marker. So I know that I want this to kind of zoom out a little bit because it's cropped kind of tight. So I probably want to start it about here. And I only want to have this be a few seconds long. So let's go 3 whole seconds. And at 3 seconds, I'm going to scale it back to 100%. Okay. So now when I slide this marker, you can see how the figure is going to change scale. And you can also see, I'm going to do that again with it zoomed up. You can also see how Liberty no longer kind of matches up with this background, right? So Liberty is pretty much going to need to be the same scale as this background. So I probably should have animated them at the same time. But I'm just going to copy these numbers, 113.3. I'm going to go up here to Liberty, Transform, and we're at the very beginning of our timeline. So I'm going to set the scale to 113.3, same as the other design. And that will probably get them aligned. It doesn't look like it quite does, but we may need to adjust that further. Let's see. At this point, we should be at 100%. Okay. So let's look at how that scales. I feel like the Statue of Liberty is just a little bit off. Here we go. Okay. Now, at no point do I want the text to have this block showing, so let's animate the next part. I'm going to go ahead and close this part because I'm happy with the way that's moving. Let's open this for the title text, and let's just make this look good at every step of the way. So I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to press the V key. That gets me back to select, and I have the title text selected, and I'm going to make sure I'm at the beginning of my timeline because we have this move through this whole process. So I'm at the beginning of the timeline, and I'm going to scale. Now see how I can grab this and move it freely? If I hold shift, it's going to constrain that to the aspect ratio that it was. And what I think is going to happen is we're going to scale this up slightly and scale the rest down slightly so that there's a bit of contrast in the way that it moves. And we'll see what that looks like. So I'm going to set the beginning parameter for scale, and then I'm going to scale or move ahead to my 3 minutes or 3 seconds. And then at 3 seconds, I'm going to set the scale where I'd like it to be now, which is just slightly different. I'm not going to bring it down all the way to where this is. I'm going to just have it be slightly different because I want some motion between the two of them. That's the point, is to have this motion. And I may even, because I don't see enough movement between the text, so we're going to go back to the beginning and scale it up just a little more. And then as I bring this down, I feel like this needs to move the other way. See, as I move through the timeline and I watch this animation, I feel like it's zooming out at different rates, which I like, but I don't feel like I'm really getting anything out of that. I don't feel like it's much different than if I just had this as one single image and didn't bother to scale it, right? So maybe we'll move it over a little bit, and then at 3 seconds, let's center it. And this is 960, I believe. Yeah, 960. Okay. So let's look at the way it moves now. So we've got a little bit of more movement in the text. I like that. And I might scale Liberty a little bit also. So let's see what's happening here. I think I want to scale Liberty a little different. So I'm going to bring that down. Let's see. Let's bring Liberty's scale a little. Whoops. Got to select it in the timeline here. And then we're going to bring Liberty up a little bit. But I'm also going to bring it here. And then okay, so there we are. So things are just kind of sliding together. Everything's got a little bit of motion. And you see I set a target time for this, and then just said, oh, we're gonna animate this in that time frame. So all I have to do is keep going back between the beginning and 3 seconds and looking at where everything is in the animation at that along the way. So if anything moves away I don't like or something, I can fix it. But it's really easy, just back and forth between 3 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and move this. This line controls how much of it will render. And this line controls how big the clip is. I'm just going to move both of them back to like 3 seconds. And we're going to go ahead and render this now. And rendering from After Effects is not really very intuitive. So I'm going to walk you through the way I like to do it. So I'm going to go to Composition, and I'm going to add to Media Encoder Q rather than rendering it here. And of course, I get an error. So I'm going to talk about this error too. This is something that happens when you have more than one version of After Effects installed. I'm using the Adobe Creators Club, so I've got like all the programs, but I also have After Effects 2019 and I have After Effects 2020. When I just open After Effects from pressing the Windows key and typing After Effects, it opens up 2019. So I'm going to say OK here. I'm going to save this project. And you might run into this, so I'm going to go ahead and tell you all about fixing it here. So we'll just call this Intro Animation YouTube. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this as soon as it's done saving. And I'm going to open up After Effects 2020, which you'll see will not have that problem. And what happens is I've updated After Effects. I've updated all of my Adobe programs. For some reason I still have After Effects 2019 installed. And I don't have Media Encoder 2019 installed. So therein lies my problem. Open project. Okay, so through the magic of film editing, in a film edit about editing film. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and render this now. I'm going up to Composition and then add to Media Encoder Q. And I like to do it in the queue because I'm actually going to close After Effects while I render this stuff. My computer is not actually that awesome to be doing this much video editing and recording all on one machine. So I use the encoder rather than doing it in After Effects. It's lighter weight, I believe. And now that it's popped up here, I've got all my settings okay, but I'm going to show you here a couple of them. We're using H.264 because this is going to end up on YouTube, and this is the most versatile format for that. And it's also great for when I import this into other Adobe products. Like I'm going to open this in Premiere and add it to another clip that I have of a bunch of veterans working out as part of the charities video. So there's going to be a lot of other parts. So it's got to go into Premiere, so I want a versatile format. You can see here I've set us for VBR2 pass. My target bitrate is 6 and my maximum bitrate is 10. And we're going to go ahead and say OK here. Let me go ahead and this will be intro animation for YouTube. Saving that and clicking OK. So that's going to go ahead now, and when I click play, when I click this button, it's going to start rendering the queue. I only have the one video in the queue. I'm going to move my video because I want you to be able to see. Let's just move me here. This is going to tell you how long it takes to render this video. I really like the encoder much better than rendering in here. I'm going to save and I'm going to close this project and close this program actually. So yeah, it's going to render in the encoder here. I can go ahead and do other things on this computer. It's going to eat up some resources, but I'm still able to record. I'm still able to watch YouTube or whatever. It's just kind of a background thing. It does take your GPU, so I wouldn't recommend trying to play video games when you're rendering something like this, but I will go ahead and do my regular computing if you know, if it's going to take a while. And this one, it says here time remaining 5 minutes and 49 seconds. So I'm going to do a cut here and come back when the video is finished rendering, and I will talk to you then. Okay, so in rendering that and then looking at it, we can see that we set our clock for 3 minutes instead of 3 seconds, which is such a rookie mistake. I'm going to leave it in this video because it's funny as hell that I did this. So I'm going to make a quick fix and just take care of it. I'm going to show you how to take care of a problem like that. All we do is go back to After Effects. I'm going to open up each one of these, and you can see I selected them all. So I select all 3 of these, holding Shift and selecting them, and then I open this and I can see all the control nodes all across the timeline. And I know I want to change this from a 3-minute video to a 3-second video. So we want to be about here, so I'm going to move this part way over, and then I'm going to take and just grab all of these, because these nodes control everything that we set as an option in here, all the movement. And just by moving them up the timeline, we're going to make it happen faster. So the last thing we need to do to fix this little time error of mine is just drag this back and set this to about 3 seconds. Alright. So let's grab these one more time. Just make sure everything is where we want it, when we want it. There we go. And just make sure that it's moving the way we want. And that it's not going to take 3 minutes to get through the intro. And I'm going to save this document. Once again, composition. We are going to add to render queue. And this time, it's amazing. It's going to be a whole lot faster. It's going to be a whole lot faster. Check that out. A couple of seconds. Alright. So I'll click here to open up our video. And there you have it, our final animation. Ready to send off to our client and ready to import right into Adobe Premiere for the rest of our project. So thanks. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks.